Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well. And today we've got some Rise of Skywalker news, not only coming here from Bounding Into Comics, our good friends over there, but also from our good friend Doomcock, who is taking a day break or so, because obviously the YouTube life can sometimes be pretty tiring after a while, because it is a lot of, people don't maybe realize this, but it is a lot of mental stress, especially when you do live streams like Doomcock does, where it's very, very, very long live streams on top of everything else that he's already doing. And so good luck to you, good sir. Hopefully you get a nice little rest for a day or two. But he was the one that talked about this in his video the other day, and so our boys over at Bounding Into Comics have picked it up, and that is that the rumor going around, so again, it is a rumor, and that's why I love Bounding Into Comics, because they always try and make it very clear when something is news, when something is rumor, when something's being reported, and they always make that clear from the very beginnings of the headline, unlike many other news sources nowadays that try and act like they are talking about the news, when in reality, they have nothing to stand on. So the rumor is that there's massive scrambling going on inside Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker production. So a new rumor indicates there's a massive scrambling happening within Disney Star Wars. The rumor comes from YouTuber Doomcock, hail Doomcock, who states Lucasfilm just recommissioned 3 CGI studios and ordered double the workload they used to before. He continues, this is ballpark 300 people working on CGI 3 months before the film drops. This is not usual. This is cutting it very, very, very close indeed. And as someone that follows movies and follows movie production, I can say that yes, you do not wait until just a couple months or 2-3 months before your movie comes out to commission 300 people to work on CGI for your film. You know, it's this time of the year, you know, as they're prepping for the film, where most of the film is done, where they're still maybe in the editing room trying to, cut off certain things, cut off fat, maybe have some test screenings, some test audiences, maybe, though I have a feeling that they're going to keep this one very, very close to chest. So if they did have any test screenings, it would be for people that have been a part of the production, or, someone that's in-house, and not to any general public people who are going to try and leak various things, because we've obviously gotten some leaks already, even though they haven't been doing that. But what you do find out, though, is that what oftentimes takes the most time in any film, especially right before the film comes out, is the rendering of the visual effects. And so for those that don't follow this, most visual effects, CGI nowadays in Hollywood, is still, to this day, even though we've got 4K releases on television, or rather 4K releases for movies, etc., what you often find is that most CGI is rendered at 2K resolution, which is pretty much the standard, movie-going fare. So even though some movies might have 4K elements to them and filmed the actual real-life action in 4K, oftentimes when they later on, when they decide to put it over to a 4K disc, most of the time the movies are actually still in the 2K resolution. They've just been upscaled, and the reason why is because of the CGI being at 2K, and when CGI is the vast majority of your film, as it is going to be for films like Rise of Skywalker, that is going to be the biggest crunch time, or the biggest amount of time in which you're going to have to worry, right? Oftentimes when we think about rendering, we think about, oh, I'm just rendering a 10-minute clip, that might be in 4K, that might be in all these other things, but you have only so many actual elements in those clips that we are rendering, which is why it doesn't take us very long. But if anyone's ever rendered a 4K 60 frames per second clip with a regular computer, with a, pretty decent computer at that, with a decent processor, it still takes a pretty decent amount of time in order to get just a small clip. I just know that from my vlog camera alone, my DJI Osmo Pocket. Again, this thing can shoot at 4K 60 frames per second. And I know whenever I'm rendering at full resolution, so I'm not putting it in a condensed version on YouTube, instead I'm actually rendering it at full resolution, just for an example, a 10-minute video that I turn to do for YouTube, which is at around 1080p resolution, will take usually, about maybe 2 minutes to render. A 4K 2-minute video for 60 frames per second at full resolution will probably take well over 10 minutes itself just to render. So what that means is that it's a lot more information that they have to get out there. It's a lot more information that needs to be processed. So even though they've got some of the, biggest computers going on right now, even though they've got some of the highest rendering power available, because all of their images are still, even at 2K resolution, so much data. And again, they very well could be. Again, I haven't heard anything from their set to indicate that they're trying to render this at 4K, which would make it even worse. But if you, just for an example, if you were to render something in 4K versus 2K, it means it would take you about twice as long to render that footage, which is why most films don't, because it's going to add on months of extra time. And so to have these many people coming on to do some CGI work in this way, and for them to bring up and to basically double the workload and recommission studios. That seems to indicate that either there's been some issues in their CGI or they're trying to add more stuff in before the movie's over, before they finish that final post-production, which does seem to indicate, and I think Doomcock is right here, that there is some scrambling going on behind the scenes, that they are indeed trying to come up with something. They've done some testing. Maybe it could easily be the fact that they've probably put some fake rumors out there or some actual rumors trying to see, hey, we've shot different endings, we've shot different things, we want to see what people think about it. And because a lot of the reactions have been mostly negative to the things that have been leaked, if they are indeed true, maybe they're trying to say, oh, now we need to think things over. Now we need to change some things going on. And so that's why they're going to recommission these different people. He adds, my source characterizes this as a bulk of emergency CGI. My source tells me that he or she doesn't know if it's because it looked bad or they changed something drastic in terms of the narrative. However, according to my source, despite the sparseness of the info he or she possesses, damn near half the technical artists around are working on Star Wars. Damn. So that tells me that it means after half the technical artists in the business, in the industry, are working on Star Wars. That's a crap ton of people. Again, 300 people working on CGI. Have you ever waited for the credits of a film and you see all of the different people listed for CGI? Yeah, usually it's a lot, right? Usually it's probably around 100 or so. But to see 300 people working on something at the very last minute, it seems, again, because they only have so much time to actually render these effects. So these are not just people that are rendering effects. These are people that are working on effects. These are people that are actually putting the effects together, that are actually designing them, putting them together, and rendering them at the same time. And again, they only have a few months to do so. So you need to have around 300 people doing that because in order to get all that stuff done in time, even at the 2K resolution, which is likely being rendered at, it's going to require a lot of manpower. So yeah, so this is interesting coming from Doomcock's source over at Disney over in Star Wars. And so obviously it is still a rumor because I trust Doomcock, but as we all know, sometimes even sources can get information wrong. Sometimes they might put out false information. We never honestly know, right? It's kind of the game that we end up playing. But to me, it seems very likely, seeing that we know that Star Wars has not really had a whole lot of excitement behind it recently. No one's really excited for the new Star Wars film. You only see, I mean, by that, of course, you all know, the people out there who understand language know I'm being, hyperbolic with that language. Because obviously there might be a few people out there. But for the most part, most people are thinking to themselves, no, to me, I don't really feel the need to see this film, which is why I think that this film could easily do under the numbers done by The Last Jedi. And then the reasons why I say that is because of the fact that China really hasn't been showing up for Star Wars pretty much ever. Like, the biggest showing they had was Force Awakens, and it's gone downhill ever since, including for Last Jedi, which, as I said before, and I'm going to keep on saying it, made less money in China than Rogue One did. And that's pretty fascinating for it being one of the canonical films, it being one of the main films in the main franchise of the now 9 film and soon to be 9 films of the franchise. What are y'all thoughts about this? Do you think that Doomcock has some stuff going on here? Doomcock speculates that this is further proof that my early reporting is correct, that they're actually mixing and matching different endings and different elements of the story, writing the damn thing in the editing bay. And to me, that just seems what's going on here. If you're going to have those many people, it seems not that CGI looked bad in the first place. It doesn't seem like this would be a way of replacing CGI because it's way too late to replacing CGI that looks bad, right? That doesn't seem to be the case. If you're going to bring in these many people on a project like this, with this grand of a scale, with this amount of time left, it means that they are, as he's saying, changing the narrative, and that the narrative itself is being changed in the editing bay, where they're doing CGI work and not actual principal photography with the actors themselves. And whenever work is being done with CGI, whenever work is being done in the editing room like that, it has to make you concerned that the narrative is going to be a mess. And for someone like me who kind of wants it to be a mess, because at this point in time, I'm just so sick and tired of Disney Star Wars and they need new leadership. Kathleen Kennedy's got to go. Rian Johnson needs his trilogy canceled. Until those things happen, I don't really have any confidence in the future direction of Star Wars because so far it's been run by complete idiots into the ground. But let me know your thoughts about what Doomcock says here. And again, I think that his speculations on the rumors, if the rumors are indeed true, I think his speculation is spot on here. But of course, we have to have a better understanding. And there's also a tweet here listed that I'm being told that Disney is reshooting scenes for Star Wars. Don't quote me. Things aren't looking good. Too many variables and audiences to please. George Lucas as a creative consultant seems like a very likely occurrence, though there's no telling how much say he will have. So that's coming from a verified checkmark on Twitter, which again is another person talking about the same exact thing, and you have other people who've also been reporting it from their sources also. So let me know what your thoughts on the source. Do you think that this is going to be some valid information? It seems legitimate to me. It's nothing too far-fetched. It seems like this is very likely something that would end up happening. And let me know your thoughts on whether or not you think this is just them trying to fix things and trying to tie a bow on it, or if you think that there's some chaos going on, which is what I think. When you have those many people in this short amount of time to render all those effects, it seems to me to indicate that they are trying to make some massive changes narratively, because there's no reason for you to have those many people on the set, or rather on this job doing visual effects, if you had everything tied with a nice tidy bow. Let me know your thoughts about all these things in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. Go make sure you subscribe over to Doomcock if you've not done so already. He is indeed an amazing person. And make sure you follow Bounding Into Comics, because they're a great source too. I never really say it enough, but I always love being able to come home and come to Bounding Into Comics and always know that all the stories that I need to worry about and need to worry about covering are all going to be there. So huge shout out to John F. Trent and all the work he does over there, and everyone else that works for Bounding Into Comics. And of course, huge shout out to my boy Doomcock, which I really hope I can do a stream with him soon, because Odin and Doomcock need to come together. The powers of the Almighty need to come together, so that way we can eventually take over the world. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.